other frustrating thing was that you get these people that come up and they want to have a question. They want to have a conversation with you, but they don't. They don't want to have a conversation with you. They want to go and throw stupid little talking points at you. One of the ones I've heard is, well, I've never got a job from a poor man. And I think I'd asked you before, how do you combat a statement like that? And then what I started telling people is, the problem with that is that there's poor people.
Right.
You're saying, well, never got a job from a poor man. Are you supporting poverty?
Good point, Gus.
There's a problem with that. The problem with that statement is poor people exist. How about we get rid of poverty? Instead of supporting a system, you're strongly supporting a system that keeps you oppressed and you don't even realize it. And that is frustrating. And a lot of the reason why people strongly support it, I don't have the cover for it right here. It was suggested to me by a family member who is a right-wing supporter. It's called The Case Against Socialism by Rand Paul. Now, this was high school.
Did it make a solid case? Did it make you unthink everything
you... It made a solid case for how I feel about Rand Paul. This was high school. I can't get through it. I'm about halfway through. And when I read it, it's like I get those feelings in my stomach, like I ate something that wasn't quite right. And that's just the idea of reading it. When I start reading it, then I go into cold sweats. I just...
We laugh, but no, I will totally give you credit for having gotten halfway through that book. But
it's tough.
So it's show the spine. Because this title.
Okay.
The case. Yeah. Pull it back just a little bit. There you go. The Case Against Socialism. And who's it published by? Penguin Books?
Yeah. Penguin Publishing. No.
The Case Against Socialism.
Broadside.
So I haven't read it. I never will. I honestly truly commend you for torturing yourself in that way. So,
well, the only reason why I read it was because I was trying to have a conversation with somebody that I love, and they're on the right, and they were saying, well, will you read this book? And I thought, well, you know what? If I'm ever going to try to get them to read something, then okay. And I thought it was a good idea to get an idea of, well, where are people on the right coming from? Where's their mindset? And this really gave me some insight as to why you come up against these people who strongly support the system that we're currently in. It's because they've been duped.
So if it's the case against socialism, does he describe what socialism is? Because if you're going to create an argument against something, you have to explain what that thing is, right? So
yeah,
he explains what socialism is, right? Does he say so let's say, what is socialism? It's the advocacy for the workers seizing of the means of production, right? Because we're anti-capitalist. It's the way, right?
Yeah. And Rand Paul missed the mark intentionally, I 100% believe, right off the bat, because he wants to scare people. He defines socialism as the government controls the means of production.
The government controls the means of production, not the workers, not the people. The government.
The government.
So he's saying that we all want the government to control everything. And that's what socialism is. So then he goes on to write an entire book arguing against a thing that no socialist wants.
Yeah, that's the thing is the whole book is now, to me, knowing what socialism is, the whole book is absolutely invalid because he's giving all of these defenses based on an intentional misdirection. And Can I read what I wrote at the very beginning?
Please. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you wrote.
Okay. So I was on okay, it says here, I am on page 55. It is obvious and apparent to anyone with an objective and yet suspect view of current equality conditions that Rand Paul's whole and sole argument against socialism is based on the belief that people are only self-involved and motivated by purely selfish reasons. He also intentionally incorrectly defines socialism as government-controlled to support his belief that people should be misguided through fear. And I haven't seen anything to argue against that, halfway through the book. Yeah, you know what, man? If this is a questions from me kind of segment, I guess the thing was, why? I mean, I get why he would write this book. He wants to protect his wealth and his privilege.
Right. Well, I would say because when you read something like that, and when you told me, I just feel completely validated in my understanding of what socialism is and what capitalism is, because that totally explains why Rand Paul would frame everything that way, because he has to defend it, and he can't defend it on anything factual. He has to lie. So again, right. So even though it's toxic and it's Penguin Books, it might even have been a New York Times bestseller. So that means a lot of people read that, where maybe 30 or 50, maybe even 100 people might see this podcast, right? Like,
so would you say that it's the general population would go and look at this and buy what he's reading? Because even whether you're a Democrat, or a Republican, that you're thinking he is correct in what he's saying.
No. Good question. So, like, yes, even liberals can buy into this to a certain extent if they don't understand it. Like, a lot of people think it's about redistribution of wealth, that's what socialism is. You'll hear a lot of progressives and liberals talk about, what we have is capitalism for the poor and socialism for the rich, which I despise when they say that, because that shows that they don't understand. What we have is capitalism, which means, like, the capitalist ruling classes have everything communally, and they don't have to worry about anything. And us have to worry about profits and profit margins and working and being capitalists, right? So it's an improper framing of it. But it also, like, hints at this notion that, like, Norway is socialist, or that, like, Medicare for all, while I totally wholeheartedly support a universal healthcare, and whether it's Medicare for all or another form of it, that's not necessarily socialist. Like, yes, socialists would have universal health care once we get rid of capitalism, right? But it can be very easy for people to think, oh, well, see, that's socialist. You want to take money from rich people to pay for health care for poor people, and that's what socialism is. That's not socialism. That's actually liberalism. Right. That's saying we're okay with rich people existing. We're okay with a capitalist ruling class elite. We just want to take some from them to supply for the fucking poor, right? Now, so that's what liberals do. Now, people like Rand Paul and Fox News and Newsmax and OAN and all the, like, Ben Shapiro's and all these people will tell you that, like, that's socialism. That what Bernie's advocating for, or AOC is advocating, that's socialism, because they want to redistribute the wealth of the rich to facilitate the poor. Now, look, if those liberal progressives like AOC and Bernie and the squad, if they can get that out of the capitalist ruling class, I'm not going to fucking deny some free healthcare. I don't have any healthcare right now, guys. Right? So, like, right. But that's not socialism. But a lot of liberals think it is. You'll hear liberals say, like, the post office is socialist. Just because something's done across the board equally for society, that doesn't make it socialist. But a lot of people think it is. So, yes, Rand Paul is pushing the misunderstanding to the point of toxic lie when he says that it's the government seizing the means of production. right? Because that's taking that misframing of socialism as being redistribution of wealth to the nth degree, to the extreme. It's the government taking everything and deciding what everybody gets. That's autocracy. Right. That's fascism. That's not socialism, right? We definitely, one, want to get rid of capitalism, and two, none of us want a central government that controls our lives and decides what everybody gets for us, right?
Yeah.
But yes, so I guess my answer to that is that it shouldn't be too shocking that what Rand Paul does not only has the potential to appeal to far-right, full-on fascists, but even liberals can find hints of truth to it, even though there's none, right? What they perceive to be hints of truth, right? It's dangerous. Yeah. It's very dangerous. And again, this is, I think, we should probably consider maybe wrapping this up a little bit, but that gets to what I've been talking about all along, is like, really, until you feel very, very confident that you have recall on dates and history and significant moments in leftist, socialist, revolutionary history, if you've spent some time really studying Bakunin and Lenin and Kropotkin and Mao and Emma Goldman and Makhno and Rosa Luxemburg and these different people, when you have at least a basic grasp on all of them, that's when you can really start telling people what you think leftism is. But really, it's about having a good, solid, strong critique and material analysis of what capitalism is right now, the way it's functioning right now, the way it directly affects us as the working class and the poor, and the way it directly affects the ruling class bosses, and be able to reiterate that to people, right?
And I do want to read more. I didn't want to go into this with that mentality of I need to belong to something. So I agree with capitalism is wrong. So boom, I don't need to read anything. Just tell me what to believe. No, I want to read. I want to know more, and give myself the opportunity to take in the facts of history and the facts of what's going on today, and form my own conclusions without somebody telling me. Fortunately, I got you here. When I get stuck on those questions, I just like, I'm a little stuck. I just don't get it. And you're able to help guide me in a direction that I can go to find the answers to those questions.
Right, because as Malatesta says, we anarchists don't want to emancipate the people. We want the people to emancipate themselves.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
All that we've achieved thus far was accomplished on collectivized power, but there's an age-old scheme to deceive us all that those capitalists won't ever fall. That's a lie. Get up and fight. Every human being has a right to fight for their own fucking page in history. Politicians, talking heads, and celebrities don't own a monopoly on history. The process of advancing philosophy is only for those who can afford the fee. That's a lie. Get up and fight. Every human being has a right to fight for their own fucking page in history. One world, and we're all fucking living on it. A slave herd is how the boss has always fucking wanted it. One world, and yeah, I'm fucking living on it. But the slave herd, I never asked to be a fucking part of it. Rousseau, and that social fucking contract, yeah, fuck that. Revolution's what I'm fucking getting at. Socratic is a human disposition. Rich Rich and poor alike have a right to that shit. Tearing apart the status quo is a long tradition from thinking fucking people all over the planet. Every fucking word of human understanding's been scrawled on pages and is waiting for you. Arrested, ingested, know what's really true, and minimize their stranglehold on you. There's a centuries-old hierarchical scheme that grinds down hard on your dignity, feverishly feeding us complacency as the only way to ever be free. That's a lie. Get up and fight. Every human being has a right to fight for their own fucking page in history. One world, and we're all fucking living on it. A slave herd is how the boss has always fucking wanted it. One world, and yeah, I'm fucking living on it. But the slave herd, I never asked to be a fucking part of it. Rousseau, and that social fucking contract, yeah, fuck that. Revolution's what I'm fucking getting at. All that we've achieved thus far was accomplished on collectivized power, but it's an age-old scheme to deceive us all that those capitalists won't ever fall. Politicians, talking heads, and celebrities don't own a monopoly on history. The process of advancing philosophy is only for those who can afford to feed. That's a lie. Get up and fight. Every human being has a right to fight for their own fucking page in history. Getting Socratic is a human disposition. Rich and poor alike have a right to that shit. Tearing apart the status quo is a long tradition from thinking fucking people all over the planet. One world, and we're all fucking living on it. A slave herd is how the boss has always fucking wanted it. One world, and yeah, I'm fucking living on it. But the slave herd, I never asked to be a fucking part of it. Rousseau, and that social fucking contract, yeah, fuck that. Revolution's what I'm fucking getting at. Your life's your life. Take it and do with it what you can, but revolution's what I'm fucking getting at.